world-renowned magician David Copperfield once said, "It is the unspoken ethic of all magicians to never reveal their secrets." Why do we think that is? Chucky.
Because when you do a magic trick, they're obviously not magic, because magic doesn't exist. So when you do it, there's some sort of sleight of hand behind it, and once you reveal what you did, then the trick is not as entertaining.
Fantastic. Chucky's offering that magic isn't real, so when a magician discloses the secret behind his act, it takes away from the excitement or from the wow factor that we get when we see a magic trick. This past winter vacation, as you all know, because I spoke about it previously, I went to Disney World. And before I went to Disney, my grandma Elise, she was telling me that Disney World has a reputation to be spotless. When you go to the parks, there is no garbage, there is no mess. It is perfection. And as a grandma, that sounds like pretty unrealistic. I mean, it's a pretty big place. A lot of people eating like turkey legs and ice cream and all this kinds of stuff. I don't know what you're saying, but all right, no problem. I'll look out for it. And when I got to the park, she was right. The place was spotless. At every corner, no matter where I went, there was not a speck of garbage on the floor. But then I really started to look carefully, and I was a bit amazed. Because at not one point throughout my entire journey did I see a single garbage man, did I see a single custodian cleaning up or picking up any piece of debris from the floor. And I was perplexed. I said, how could it be that the place is spotless, yet there is no individual who is responsible for cleaning up the entire place? But I didn't have an answer, and I went through my journey in Disney World without understanding the underpinnings behind their secret sauce until this past Shabbat. Every week, I get to enjoy the company of certain different individuals where I pray on Saturday night. One person in particular, a relative to one person in this class, Mr. Charles Anthony from SPH. Charles was explaining to us how because of his Disney Marathon, he was offered an exclusive access inside of Disney World, something that the average consumer never gets to see or will ever be aware of. And he explained, and I did some research after he explained this to us, there's something called the Disney World Utilidors. Anybody ever heard of this? Utilidors? Jacob Coopersmith?
Is that like the underground system?
There's an underground system. Well, technically speaking, it's not necessarily underground. It's actually ground level. When you experience any Disney World theme park, it is above ground floor. And what Disney World did when it first was incepted was it understood that there is so much maintenance that goes into running a theme park. Everything from the garbage to the concession stands, all the beverages, all the foods. You ever notice that when you went to Disney World, you never ever see somebody carrying a whole carton of sodas or Gatorades or anything, of ice creams? You never ever see it ever, and there's a reason for it, because they have an underground system that they operate with that keeps you away. You have no access to seeing how they operate behind the scenes. Now, the Utilidors is not just known for the garbage and for the concessions, it's known for many other things. Did you ever wonder how all of a sudden the character meet and greets are so perfectly timed at the exact same space that they want it to be, and you never ever see Mickey Mouse or any character walking anywhere else? It's because they have access to a secret passageway to go down floor to make sure that you will never ever see two Mickey Mouses at the same time ever. What they also have is a cafeteria, and they have access for bathrooms for employees, and they have hairstylists who are constantly dressing up the characters and all of the employees in the park, because there's a certain look that every Disney employee must have. See, you have no idea that this goes on, yet when you experience Disney World, you experience perfection. Now, boys, we have a problem. Because this doesn't just happen in Disney World that we are so enamored by perfection. It happens on a day-to-day basis. We, in our average daily lives, will look at others and we will see something that we feel is very special and perfect, and we must have it. We want it. How do I know that we do this? Because we're the people that are also busy trying to be perfect. How many people in this room will post a picture to social media, but it's not the first picture that you post. It's maybe like the 7th, 8th, 15th, 22nd picture. You're figuring out every possible angle of what you want to look like, right? How many of us in this room on a WhatsApp chat are afraid to say what they want to say because what will I sound like in front of other people in the chat? Maybe they'll think I'm an idiot. How many people in this room, when they went on their high school interview, dressed up differently than they would on an average day? How many people in this room are maybe afraid to ask a question in class because they maybe don't want to look silly in front of their peers or their teachers? We do this all the time. But you know what the problem is, boys? Even though we do it, we don't recognize that other people are also doing it. We feel that whatever they're putting out is really indeed perfect. And so what we see makes us crave something that is not realistic, that is not possible. So I have a suggestion. We need to be mindful that this is happening. We need to understand that the only person that we should ever try to be is us. Because if other people can manipulate and control who we are and what we do, that's going to be an exhausting life that you must live for the rest of your life. The fact that you're going to have to take 47 pictures until it's the right picture for you to post it on Instagram, and the fact that you're going to have to come up with the exact wording of how you want to post something in a WhatsApp chat, because God forbid you can say something that doesn't have the true intentions or the meanings of what it is that you wanted to say, and that we can make something called a mistake in our lives. No, we cannot make mistakes in our life because everybody else is so busy being perfect. We must do the same. Don't assume that what you see is as is. At all times and at all corners, there is always a magician's trick up somebody's sleeve. I experienced this firsthand when I was a kid, and when I saw everybody with their perfect families, and their mother and their father were happy together, and there was no such thing as fighting, and they got to go to fancy vacations, and they got to have special fancy toys that I never got to have. I was jealous because I assumed that my life was not as good as anybody else's life. My life was getting shortchanged. Until years later, when I really got to see a behind-the-scenes access at some of the way people live their lives. Boys, we're all the same. We all have imperfections. We all have flaws. We all have things that we need to work through. Don't think for a second that when you see perfection, that that's the way it always is. People work really, really hard to impress you. Disney World does it. You do it too. And in the words of famous poet Oscar Wilde, he says, be yourself, because everybody else is already taken. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.